Welcome to The Shoreline, brought to you by Shores and Islands, Ohio, where finding your Lake Erie love is a sure thing. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Jill Bauer. Joining me, as always, is my co-host, Dayton Barnett. I do public relations, and Dayton does social media for Shores and Islands, Ohio, the destination marketing organization for this region. Together, we bring you The Shoreline every week to give you the inside scoop on what's happening here in our island and coastal communities and the events and attractions we think you'll want to know more about. Dayton?
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
All right, we're well. I'm alive. It's beautiful.
It is a beautiful summer here on the North Coast, and we've reached the month of August.
I know. It's crazy.
At least for me, it gets to be that time where, oh my gosh, where is summer gone? I got to get out. I got to get out and do fun things. I got to take my family places because I don't want summer to slip by. So what do you have coming up in August that people can look forward to on social media?
I mean, anytime you open our page, you can look forward to something. But August is kind of, I don't know. I feel like August is not a slower month, but there's lots of normal, regular events going on that might be weekly things, and a lot of just keeping the vibes going. I think the major events, of course, Bash on the Bay, probably the biggest event that'll happen this month. Yeah.
For those listeners that don't know, that is a huge 2-day music festival on Put-in-Bay, but it's in August, and the headliners are Hardy and Jelly Roll. So we got some big name entertainment coming to our little island.
Yes, I'm excited for that show because I just only recently got into like country music, and I actually know a couple of those artists that are like on the list. So I think that'll be a great event.
I bet you'll have your hat on.
Of course. That is a regular thing for me. So, yes. And I actually got that at Bash Bay last year. That's actually where I got it. Yeah, lots of weekly events, lots of markets that are still going on that you can catch. Mm-hmm. And honestly, one of your favorite cafes or local eatery spots probably has some trivia night happening every week that you don't know about.
Yes.
Stuff in between with the big stuff happening here and there. But yes, definitely, like she mentioned earlier, get out, utilize it while we have it before it starts to get cold.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we're kind of heading into festival season, so lots of community events going on. And sometimes the weather can be wonky. You never know what's going to happen with a, little pop-up storm. You can always find, great live entertainment, favorite local bars and restaurants, like you mentioned, the trivia nights, things like that. If you have to pivot, if you have to change your plans, shoresandislands.com is a great place to do that. Or, go check out what Dayton's doing over on social media. If you're not already, make sure that you follow along with all of Dayton's posts on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you are. He is as well, and he's posting lots of great content. He loves to interact with people there. So if you've got comments or questions, go ahead and drop them in the comments of the posts, and Dayton will get back to you. And I know you even like to have, kind of where I should go next. Look for suggestions.
That is my my bio intro. So you guys heard it.
Absolutely. If you need to know what all those social links are for Shores and Islands, Ohio, you can find them on our website, shoresandislands.com. So we talked a little bit about Put-in-Bay. Today, we're island hopping. We're going again. We're going to another island, which we just absolutely love. This time, we're headed back to Kelly's Island, where we're visiting with a treasured island business and learning about an upcoming festival, as I mentioned, festival season, that's coming up this fall. So joining us on the Shoreline today is Abby Rosado, General Manager of the Kelly's Island Wine Company, another multi-generational family winery in the region. Abby's father and grandfather opened the winery in the early 1980s, and the business continues today as a popular island must-visit, and it has grown tremendously. Abby and her husband also opened the nearby Monarch Winery on Kelly's Island about 4 years ago, and she lives on the island year-round. So I always love to talk to year-round island residents. It's a different lifestyle, isn't it, Abby?
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on the podcast. This is very cool.
Of course. Well, welcome to the Shoreline.
Thanks.
Tell us a little bit about the business. Who's involved here? What's your current role?
So currently me and my husband my husband Rodney handle most of the day-to-day operations at the winery. But like we are a family business through and through. So, over the years, my parents have run the winery, but my little brother helps out. My sister worked there for years. It's just kind of really a family business.
And if we're getting right into the good stuff, I'm curious, how many and what kinds of wines are produced at your winery?
Yeah. So at the Kelly's Island Wine Company, we currently produce 9 wines. So we produce a range. So we go from dry to sweet. This is at the Kelly's Island Wine Company. So we have a couple of dry reds. We have a dry white, an off dry white, and then 3 sweeter typical lake wines that we produce that are like mainstays. We also have 1 dry red that is completely estate grown. So that just means from start to finish, everything happens on the property. So we grew the grapes. It's 100% organic. It's really my dad's like passion project. It's what he's always dreamed of doing and kind of like his homage to the winery. So that's Zettler Family Farm Obler Noir limited edition. So that's kind of our new thing for this year there.
Very cool. So you produce a lot of wines. You are growing, your own grapes and producing your own wine there on the island. But the experience when you visit Kelly's Island Wine Company is so different, in my opinion, than your typical winery. So tell us a little bit about the atmosphere and what it's like to visit the Kelly's Island Wine Company.
We have a 3-acre property that spans 3 acres. But so the original winery building we turned into a cantina that serves margaritas and tacos.
That was the original winery building.
Yeah, so that was where the winery opened in 1982. So the building it currently resides in opened in 98. But that little small building where that bar is the original winery. So that's for 10 years, that's where they did all of the sales. They had a small kitchen they made cheese plates out of, all that jazz there. So yeah, so that's now the Cantina, which is a margarita bar that serves a ton of different specialty drinks, tacos, burritos, chips, and salsa. Then we have the regular winery where we produce all the wine. We do pizzas, burgers, cheese plates, salads. And then kind of like in between, there's this like sprawling space, which is just great for large groups, families. We have a really nice playground that we built with help from Shores and Islands, a grant from Shores and Islands, which has been just amazing and includes like a really large animal area with chickens, goats. We have a duck.
I remember talking to you a few years ago, and you were looking to add new animals, I think, to the mix there. Did that ever happen? Did you say your dad wanted a llama, maybe?
He still wants more a llama. No, the only thing we added this year is actually we had our first baby was born. So one of our chickens from start to finish hatched her own egg, and she has one baby chick that rides around on her back.
No.
Yeah, it's pretty cute. So she sat on about 10 eggs for a while, and she only got one to hatch, but she's got one baby the dad is there. She raised the baby from a little baby, and I'm not even joking, it rides around on her back. It's the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh, how funny. So there's a lot to do when you visit, Kelly's Island Wine Company. The family's entertained, there's animals to see, there's the playground area. I know you've got cornhole, and do you still have horseshoes, other games like that, things that you can do, to spend some time in addition to, sipping wine and, of course, eating your amazing food. So the wine company, I think, is really kind of, I don't want to call it a hidden gem because it's not hard to find, but it's not right in the downtown area. If you're visiting the island, you're going to want to get a golf cart to make your way out to this location because it really is, pretty special out there. So we mentioned also earlier that you and your husband now have the Monarch Winery. So tell us about that. Where is that located, and how is that different from Kelly's Island Wine Company?
Monarch Winery is located at 604 Division Street. And we specialize there in mostly fruit wines that we produce over the winter. We do a lineup of wine slushies. So that's kind of the hit there is we have 8 different wine slushies at any time that we serve. And then we have a gift shop and a large, like, build your own charcuterie section. So we have like specialty cheeses, crackers, all kinds of weird foods. I think we have like pickled quail eggs and carry like the fishwife canned fish, all kinds of like really interesting specialty foods where you can kind of build your own charcuterie to enjoy with your wine down there. They also have like cornhole and games. We do live music every Saturday there, and a large greenhouse in the back that's kind of like a wine garden. So pond, we have turtles, we have frogs, we have fish, all kinds of fun stuff down there as well.
How cool.
Yeah.
So along with, since we're on the topic of relationships, one thing that both wineries, along with Crooked Tree Vineyard and Charles Herndon Gallery, you guys are collaborating on the annual Wine, Art, and Food Fair in September. Can you tell us a little bit about that event?
Yeah, for sure. So the Wine and Art Fair started at the Kelly's Island Wine Company. And then with the addition of Crooked Tree and Monarch Winery, we decided to make it kind of like an island-wide event. It's a fall event. So first, well, I guess it technically would be summer, huh? September 14th, I guess it is still technically summer. It doesn't feel like it.
Still technically.
Technically, I know everyone's back in school. I'm already kind of in fall mode there. But so yeah, it's September 14th and includes the 3 wineries and then Herndon Gallery. And it's just like the coolest event. We do like an island-wide wine trail. You can buy a tasting passport to use at all 3 wineries. It includes like a tasting at each winery, which is really awesome. All the locations have vendors. So even Herndon Gallery, there's artists, there's people selling like handmade goods, all kinds of stuff. We have everything. So like sea glass artists, there's a girl at Herndon that blows her own glass. There's another girl that does metal work there. There's just a ton of different things to see. And all of the locations also have live music. So it's just like a super fun day to come over, rent a golf cart. You know, you're kind of falling into the off season, so it isn't quite the craziness that summer is. There's just so much to do that weekend. And it's just so fun to wander all around and see the wineries and really get to like enjoy them. It's really nice and fun.
3 locations. So that's awesome, you guys. And it's a chance to really check out the whole island. You know, you got to move around. So I think that's a great idea. Do you know the cost of the tickets?
The event is free. So you can come to any of the locations and shop and, you know, you can eat at the winery. You can do charcuterie at the Monarch. You can go to Crooked Tree and see the vineyard. The only cost would be that wine tasting passport, which is $20. And at $20, it's a great deal. I mean, typically, if you were to purchase a tasting at each place, it'd probably be closer to $40. So it's at about half the usual price. So wow. That's the only cost involved in the whole thing. Other than that, it's completely free, which is really awesome.
That is a really good deal, you know, getting it at half the cost. And it's also a great opportunity to try something new, try the different places and maybe try a different wine. And you mentioned there's going to be some demonstrations and things going on at different places as well.
Yeah. So typically I know for sure at the winery, like Kelly's Island Wine Company, there will be at least a couple artists that do like live demonstrations, as well as Herndon Gallery usually does at least 1 or 2 demonstrations. I know Carmen Smith, who's been on the podcast before.
Yeah. Friend of the pod.
Yeah, she does metal work at Herndon's, and she usually tries to do like a live demonstration at the Wine and Art Fair. Same thing with Jackie Polifka from Double Dip Studios, which is glass blowing. She does live glass blowing usually that day. And then the winery, any artist that we can get to do the live demonstrations, we will. We're still firming up all of the final like vendors this week. So the list should be out pretty soon, but we do have a lot of really great people and new people coming this year. So it should be really cool.
Sounds like a really fun event. And remind us the date again.
So September 14th is the day. Yep. Mm-hmm. And it is. It's just so much fun.
Is it the whole day or are there certain hours?
Yeah, so typically things kick off about 1 o'clock. So we usually say it runs from noon to 6. By 6 o'clock, everyone's kind of heading back on the ferry and the music is kind of ending and everything's packed up for the day. So I would say noon to 6 are the core hours for that.
Very cool. So that is a great reason to visit the island in September. There are a lot of great reasons to visit the island all year round, but do you have any other special events planned throughout the rest of this season out at either one of your wineries?
Not for the rest of the summer until the Wine and Art Fair. The Kelly's Island Wine Company does do a Sight, Scents, and Sounds of Christmas in November, the weekend of Thanksgiving. So that's the big Ohio State-Michigan game.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a fun weekend. And I know the Pump does a tailgate. And so it's kind of fun. You can come over for the day and tailgate the football and then come out to Sight, Scents, and Sounds. And we do a big sale Christmas shop. We do Christmas themed specials. We have someone singing Christmas carols. It's just kind of like a nice kickoff to the holidays and end of the season wrap up event on Kelly's. It's kind of the last big day of the years.
So is that when you would typically close for the season then? Is it the end of November?
So actually, we stay open at the Kelly's Island Wine Company through the second week of December, and we reopen St. Patrick's Day. That's been our typical schedule. We also host a yearly New Year's Eve party for the community and anyone else that wants to come, but it's mostly just locals. But yeah, so we're open on weekends through the second weekend of December, and then again, we open on St. Patrick's Day.
Wow, that's a really, that's a really big season to be from, the middle of March all the way through the end of December. So, again, people are always kind of asking, what is there to do on the islands, outside of the summer months? And it's good to know that that's an opportunity, that the winery is still open. And you have great food and great wine and all of that kind of stuff. So just because this is the only time we get to talk to you, what are some of the other bigger events that, maybe people have missed this year but want to put on their calendars for next year? What other things do you guys have?
Like I said, we do a New Year's Eve party. That's not really that big of an event, kind of smaller, but we also do a spring wine fling in the summer. And that's just kind of like our kickoff to the year. That's in April. We run a lot of really good wine specials then. We have live music. We do a ramp themed menu, and ramps are a little spring onion that grows on the island. And so we do like a specialty menu based around those, which is really fun.
Oh, that's cool.
It is. It's delicious. They're like kind of a cross between an onion and a leek, I would say, or garlic and a leek. And so we do like all kinds of specials with the ramps, which is really fun. Live music as well. And then Derby Day, we do a chicken derby, this will be our third one this upcoming year.
Oh, yeah.
Which I know sounds kind of crazy and is a little crazy. It is like the funnest and the funniest day of the year. It's like my new favorite thing. So we take all of the winery chickens and we have like little vests we put on them, and I can't make this up. We build a track.
Like the Kentucky Derby, right? You're kind of emulating the Kentucky Derby, but with chickens.
Yep. It runs an hour before the Derby. So I think the Kentucky Derby is at some weird time, like 6:37. Yeah. So the Chicken Derby is at 4:37. And it's so funny. We run odds on all the chickens, and it's so funny and fun. And like, I don't know, it's just one of my favorite new things that we're doing this year.
Do you get all dressed up with your floppy hat and your mint mojito?
I usually get stuck helping, but everybody else is dressed up, and there's usually at least 4 or 5 people that are like chicken tenders out there so you can come see the chickens in advance and kind of like decide which one you want to win. And they're all on display and they're all wearing their little vests that are numbered. And it's just the funniest thing. It's so funny.
The funniest thing is that you called them chicken tenders.
Yeah, no, they are. They are. We usually get a couple volunteers, and they all have like their like Derby names that we mock from the Kentucky Derby. So
how fun!
Living on a Feather or whatever the chickens' names are. Last year, I swear, the one that won we thought was going to have a heart attack. It was so little and scared, and it's the one that won, which you would never would have thought. It ran across the finish line. It was a photo finish. It was hilarious.
That sounds amazing, and that's in early May, right? Usually, like the first or second weekend in May.
So it's the same weekend as the Kentucky Derby. So it's the first weekend of May every year. Okay. And that's an awesome day on the island as well, because all the businesses are reopening. So another really fun day to come up that's outside of our regular season, that there's so much going on and so much to do.
One other thing that I know y'all are kind of famous for, that I know, I feel like Dayton even might have come over for this year. Do you have like a bacon festival?
We do, but unfortunately, my little sister is getting married next year. Woo-hoo.
Oh. Well, that's not unfortunate. That's a great thing.
Well, it's amazing, but it is Bacon Fest weekend, so we won't be hosting that event next year, unfortunately. It was really awesome this year, but it's gonna take a break next year because that's the weekend she chose to get married. So
well, keep an eye out, folks. Maybe in the future the Bacon Fest will come back.
Yes, yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to share about, either of the wineries or any of the events coming up?
So I think that pretty much covers it. Just, I guess, always remember there's still a lot to do outside of the summer on Kelly's, and still so much happening in September and October. And it's a really fun time to come over and avoid the crowds, but still have a really nice weekend on the island.
I do have one kind of, it's a strange question, but we get asked it a lot. Your name, Kelly's Island Wine Company, has an apostrophe in it, but Kelly's Island does not have an apostrophe in it. Do you know why that is? Why does your business happen to use the apostrophe?
Yeah, so it's kind of a funny story. So the original Kelly's Island Wine Company from way back in the day that burned down, I don't know if you know anything about that. The ruins are still on Kelly's Island, but
yes, private. They're yes, I do know what you're talking about. I've driven by there. It's private property, but you can still sort of see.
It is private property, and the neighborhood there is a little bit protective of it because I think there is a lot of people that do go back to see it and they don't like so much. But you can often see it from the roads there. So in the 80s, we trademarked the name by adding the apostrophe. So obviously it was just kind of an homage to the original wine company and just a way for us to trademark a slightly different version. So it's not a typo. It's not anything like that. It's just a small little blip.
Very cool. Well, thank you for answering that burning question.
So with all the information that we have consumed today, where can people go to get more information, to keep track of what's going on?
Yeah, for sure. So typically we keep our Facebook and Instagram pretty updated for the businesses. The winery has a TikTok. We only have one video. We're working on making more, but you can follow us on there as well.
And again, for folks listening, that website, Abby, is kellysislandwineco.com. Special thanks to Abby Rosato from the Kelly's Island Wine Company for joining us today. And of course, thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please be sure to like and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts so you don't miss a minute of the action here on Shores and Islands, Ohio. You can also find more information, including past episodes of this podcast, online at shoresandislands.com. And Dayton and I will see you next time on The Shoreline.